Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I'm super excited for today's guest. I have Laura Jane Stack here with me today. She is a video and LinkedIn expert, and she is brilliant and hysterical, and I know we're going to have a blast. So, Laura, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And I've got like a bit of expectations to live up to with that introduction.
We're going to meet them all. I have no doubt. This is going to be great. Okay, so first of all, so let's just dive right in. So if somebody clicked on this video, they want to know about video and LinkedIn. So talk first straight up, like what are some of the biggest mistakes or misconceptions that you see about LinkedIn and video?
Okay, yeah, I love this question. I think there's two that stand out to me. I think the first one, and this comes like if you're a LinkedIn user and you're there for the vibes, you're there to learn, but there's a lot of information coming at you, and there's a lot of people on LinkedIn that teach you how to do LinkedIn, right? So there can be a lot of information about this is the way to do video, and especially there's a new video feed that they call like the TikTok style feed, which changes the way that you might plan to do video because it looks different, and I can go into that a little bit. But when there's so much information about, oh, you need to do it this way, and you can't script it, or you can script it, or you shouldn't have it shouldn't be all edited with stock footage, or it should be all these kind of things, and it can make it really overwhelming and not know which one to go for. And it can make you feel always that you're doing something wrong. If you hear this is the way to do it, not this way, you're like, oh, I've been doing it this way, I've been doing it wrong. And there isn't actually a right way to do video. And I think it's an easy sell to tell people that this is the way that you should be doing it, because you fear them into, oh, okay, like I'll follow these instructions, and it's not really fair, because video is an expression of people's personalities and their businesses and their missions show, so it should reflect that, and it should be based on themselves, and also they're of course thinking about their audience and their mission. But if something isn't working for you, then that's absolutely fine. I remember someone writing to me, and she was like, I'd mentioned it in a post, that if you need to script your videos out word for word so that you can at least have something to say, that's completely fine. And she was like, oh, you made me feel like I'm not doing something wrong, because she'd been doing it that way and feeling like it was the wrong way to do it, because other people were saying, oh, you can't script videos, it all has to be, you're showing your natural sense, your natural self, so everything has to be natural, and everything, you've got to be in flow, and you've got to be this, and you've got to be that. And it's not really true. It's about finding what's going to work for you, especially if it's something that you want to do long term. If you make it trying to fit this box of what you think is right, or the right way to do it, you're not going to continue with it, because it's going to feel difficult, and it's going to feel like so much energy every time. Whereas if you approach it from, how can I make this work for me in the business that I have, with the time that I have and the energy that I have, it's going to feel so much easier to do, and so much easier to do long term. So to answer that as a misconception, it's that there's one right way of doing it, because that isn't. And it's about finding something that's going to work for you and work for you long term. And I do have a second one if you want me to get into that one.
Yes, I love it. Yes, I just, let me champion that answer really quickly. Just right out the gate, you're coming out with the planting the flag of there's no one right way to do video. That's so refreshing. You're right. There's so much fear-based marketing around there's a right way and a wrong way, and that you can't and you should, and all of that, and it's the cacophony. So I love your mission so much. So so give us number two.
Okay, so number two is the thinking. I suppose it marries up with it, but thinking that it needs to actually, the better way for me to say this is that people get the production values the wrong way around. Okay, so people think that their short videos that they put on their feed need to look a certain way, that they need to be polished, or they worry too much about the setup and the visuals of a video that they're going to post on their LinkedIn or their social media. And they don't then, so that maybe they spend time creating videos that's all, the bells and whistles and everything, and learning about editing, or maybe even paying someone to edit and putting out these videos. And then further down the line, when they've got, clients to talk to, sales calls to do, or training to conduct, they are using, like the webcam that's on their computer that's grainy, and they've not thought about the lighting, and they're like down here like presenting, and all their laundry is in the background. So they worry about, that, I guess, because there's an element of vulnerability, right? When you're putting yourself out on social media, it's for the world. Okay. So they're thinking, oh, it needs to be really something because anyone could see this. But then actually, when they've got, maybe they feel a bit more comfortable when they're delivering their training, or they're talking to clients because, they're in their zone and that's the kind of thing they do all the time. But actually, they've not thought about how they're coming across in that sense. So I would flip it for what maybe a lot of people assume, and go for that lower production value in your social media content, where it's really about connecting with people, and in a way that's quite authentic. And the more things you put in between that, the harder that is to make that connection. But think about your longer form setup. How are you presenting yourself when you're with clients further down the funnel? Is that your more polished or more professional version of yourself? But certainly most clients that come to me, like, they have in their head that they want to create video content for their platforms, and they're thinking that they need to have XYZ in place for them to do that. And that just isn't the case. Like, you can create videos just on your phone, with a tripod, with a microphone if you want to, but you've always got the internal mic. Try and make that as easy for you to do as possible to connect with people. And you can think about the production values for your other types of video that's longer form, but certainly for your shorter, quick videos or in the moment stuff, you don't need a fancy setup for that. And I wasted a lot of time on, because I was already in like video production, I'd set up a studio to create in my like lounge to create these videos for LinkedIn, because I was using LinkedIn a long time ago and using video on LinkedIn a long time ago, but just not in a way that connected with people. My backdrop was I bought, like, rather than a green screen, which you kind of have to light and do different things, I just bought one that was like a gray color, because I was just like, okay, well, that will always, it's simple, it's basic. And so those videos look so, like, I watch them now and I cringe, because it's so like like not even corporate, but there's just no color there, and no, like, it's gray, it's bland, it's like nothing, no personality or anything like that. But these like high production values of having my lighting and being in frame and delivering, and I still had elements of my personality in there, but I just took it all like way too seriously. And because I was setting up in my lounge, right? You can imagine in the morning, I've got all my kit, like, I'm setting up, right? Today I'm going to make some videos. By the time I've actually filmed one or two videos that I was trying to perfect, get the perfect take for, I remember, like, my partner would come home like at almost 5 o'clock from work, and this is when I just like first started in self-employment, and he was like, how was your day? And I'm like, what? The day is over already, because I'll have filmed like one or two videos, and that isn't a good use of your time. So I feel like if you can make that part easy for yourself, because when it comes to videos that you're going to post on LinkedIn, you do want some kind of consistency there. You don't just want it that you do it like post one video out and then never do it again for a year. You do want to do something that's actually feasible for you to do long term. So the easier that you can make that for yourself, the better. And also, I think that it's actually better at connecting with people, and because you could just, I don't want to use the word relate, but that's, I guess, what I mean more, that it sounds like, a conversation on a phone. That's the feel of how you want it. Yeah.
I love that. I feel like that's a great metaphor, right? Like you want it to feel like it's just a conversation with someone on your phone. That really conveys what you were talking about with making it easy, making it sustainable. Yeah, I love that. I love that. That's great. That's a gem for sure. Okay, cool. Very cool. Okay, so let's talk about, I want to talk about your process with clients, and like kind of how you get them from beginning to end, and like the kind of things you do with clients. But before we dive into that, you mentioned early on like the sort of TikTokification of LinkedIn. Would you talk a little bit about how that's changed the platform and what people should be kind of knowing or keeping in mind now about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So LinkedIn was different, and LinkedIn is my main platform. Obviously, we're talking about LinkedIn today, so hopefully people are using it and not trying to seek me out on other channels that I am not present enough on. But with LinkedIn, it was different than the other channels initially, because the way that it's structured, you can write a post, and a video will accompany the text part of the post, or a photo will. So on someone's feed, because really what we're doing with our content is, we're trying to attract attention, right? We're trying to get people to read our stuff, to listen. And so you would always see the text part before the video. So when I used to tell clients about, what your ideal video post might look like on LinkedIn, it wasn't all about the video really, because it's the post that people would see first, and that would determine whether whether that was interesting enough for them to stick around and watch the video.
Right. To actually click on the video, right? To play it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would probably autoplay anyway, but if there was nothing grabbing their attention, they'd probably scroll on. But the grab of attention was in both, yes, a bit in the video, but definitely in the text, and
In the
thinking
text.
about, your hooks and things, and it wasn't so much watch this video to find out how. It's like, don't tell people to watch it, compel them to watch it with your words.
Mhm.
And LinkedIn's always been favored, right, by people that like words, because it was that platform that wasn't so much video, and people go on LinkedIn maybe as a bit of escapism from doing um video a little bit. And so that was initially the I'd like help people with posts, and it would be very much this combination of text and video, which is still absolutely fine, because that feed still exists. A lot of people that will see your content will be scrolling the feed, or they might get a notification. It will display like that, a text post and a video that plays underneath. So since LinkedIn introduced the TikTok style, it's like full screen vertical video. So you don't have that warming up of the text. So now actually, if you're trying to create video to also serve potentially that feed, which gets more exposure, more reach on your videos, you're now not just bringing people in the hook of your with your words. You have to do it with the video as well, and that has as much significance when it's viewed in the TikTok feed. Because again, if it's like, oh, hi, I'm just popping on today because this thing like crossed my mind, and I thought that I would like tell you about, you've already like lost someone. They're like, what do you want to tell me? Just tell me it. So you have to think about that, grabbing that attention like straight away as well in the feed, because people aren't going to see the text to go with it. They're just going to view the video then. So that's the main thing to consider.
Awesome. Very cool. Very practical tips. Very helpful. Awesome. Okay. So, and then talk a little bit about how video is performing on LinkedIn. Like why is video so important to this platform in particular?
Yeah, I think definitely there seems to be, I mean, I'm not someone that keeps up to date with the whole, like I'm not a LinkedIn trainer, so I'm not like in the whole, I don't know, like the secret people that know all the stuff that's going on with the algorithm. Right. I'm sure people can tell you that. But I think because there is this two separate places that video gets displayed, that there is an increase in reach on the videos, which might be something like most people want their like create videos for them to be seen, right? But then they also need to land on the right people. So I feel like you can sometimes see the views going up and performing better than the other style posts had done previously, but you might not necessarily get more engagement because it's still going to be the people that already are in your audience or your target audience and your actual target audience that are engaged with your content because they know what you're talking about. If you have especially like if you're quite niche and you're talking about problems that aren't everyone's problems, they're problems that are like that 1% of people that you're speaking to, increasing that reach just generally isn't going to help. Like really it's about getting seen by the right people or at least people that are going to add value to your network and you can add value to theirs as well.
Oh, that's very cool. Okay.
Did that answer your question?
Yes, I think so. And you totally, yes. And I want to break down that phrase that you said, adding value to their network and having them adding value to yours. I mean, assume that's one of those phrases that people we assume everybody knows what you mean, but like break down what that actually means in terms of LinkedIn and your content.
Yeah. So on LinkedIn, it's a networking platform, primarily like a social, like relationship building platform. And I have been on LinkedIn for a long time and I approach it from how can I, seek people out that I want to connect with, like whether I think they're really cool and I want to be their friend, that happens quite a lot. But people that are doing cool things that you want to be part of, or people that have knowledge and you love to learn from them, and then you to be that person to someone else as well. And so not just about I want to get leads on LinkedIn, and so I'm going to come in and I'm going to start DMing people and finding people that are interested in my service. I think that could potentially not do very much, or you end up annoying a lot of people. Like I know like sales and things right. is a numbers game. So I'm not saying that doesn't work at all, but I think definitely approaching it from a relationship building element is crucial really for long-term gain as well, because everything is about relationships, and those relationships can lead to collaborations, and can lead to being invited to speak on stages and things. That all happens from a relationship and the connection. And again, to tie back that with video, like that's what video enables you to do, like make that connection with someone. And that's certainly how I've used it. So yeah, focusing on that as the main part of the platform, as opposed to, I'm just here because I want to get people to buy my stuff, like approaching it from like quite a giving point of view and building those relationships up, and that other stuff follows, right?
Yeah, totally. I love that. I think that's worth underlining because I've been on LinkedIn forever, but haven't really been active on that platform. And then a couple of years ago, Gary Vee was like, LinkedIn is where it's at. Like you got to do LinkedIn stuff. And I'm like, all right, let's give it a shot. And the really interesting thing about the platform, and one of the reasons I kind of fell in love with it, is what you're talking about. It's the only place where people are really actively talking about what they're doing professionally. And, and not in a marketing way, but like in a show-offy way, which is wonderful because you get to see all these really cool, fascinating projects that people are involved in these really cool industries. And you get to see the problems that they're solving and what they're creating and what they're doing. And you do get to learn stuff. Like there's so many people are just sharing tutorials and stuff on LinkedIn. Like I feel like I get little marketing mini master classes just scrolling through the feed. And I just think that's one of the coolest things about the platform. And so I totally see video being a help to that, and really being a way that you can use it to, like, you know, show off what you're creating and what you're doing and how you're helping your clients in the world. So I love that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what you actually do with clients and sort of the journey that they go through. And let's start maybe with, like, what if you were to give someone, let's say, 3 to 5 tips on how to succeed with video and LinkedIn, what would you say?
Yeah, well, this lines up with how I would take clients through. So whether you know that's with a client, or whether you kind of like want to think about this on your own, it's the same process whether you get support with it or not. And I mean, there's definitely an element of, because the camera confidence plays a lot into the videos. You know, I'm not about creating reels or visuals. You know, I work with business owners, founders that have a message that they want to share, that they want to grow their audience so that they can help more people with their message, or maybe with their services. So so yeah, it's not about, so being confident on camera is important for that. And so any practice that you're going to get on video that's going to allow that confidence to build is great. So, you know, like, don't shy away from doing it, but also there is like certain processes that you can go through, that I take my clients through, that make it all just feel a lot more easier, you know, like, take that weight off your shoulder of something that you feel is really big and really heavy. And the more time passes by, and the more people that are telling you that you need to do videos because now the new LinkedIn, you know, like, it all like starts to feel really heavy. And you don't want
For
that to
sure.
be the case. You want it to feel like something that you want to do. So there's some things that you can do like, I guess, like, before you start doing videos, that are gonna help it feel like that for you. So the first stage is like actually thinking about what that core message is that you want to drive through with your video. Because if you have an idea of what that is, then all your video content can feed into that, like, core message. And this might be the same as your main core business message. You know, you might have like a mission statement, and so your videos will be aligned with that, like, mission statement. But there might be different themes that you talk about often, or that you're passionate about, and that all feed into your work. And what I would say is, let's get clear and let's start video based on one of those. Because if you're starting thinking, oh, I need to talk about this, I need to talk about that, and then I'm going to, you know, I'm going to do these, I'm going to tell people about my personal journey, and then I'm going to do these like tip videos, and then I'm going to do like probably, you know, like all that kind of thing. Like, it gets very overwhelming in your head. So let's think about what that core message is that's going to actually drive all your videos forward, as in the basis of the content that you want to get across.
I love
And
that.
it
I
might be
love that. Because it's, I love that you said that, because you're talking and I'm immediately in my head going, okay, well, how do we narrow down which ones they are and how many can there be? And let's create a map, and let's, you know, and I could already feel like me even having some anxiety of like, oh God, I got to think through all that. And what are my pillars and like the whole thing. And so I love that you're like, no, stop all that. There's video is stressful enough. Like, don't bring
yeah.
yourself out.
And you might have pillars like across your content. Like, I work with a lot of people that like to write, and words are their thing, and that's why they struggle with video, because they're like, I'm a words person, I'm not a video person. And so I've lost my train of thought. But when you are sorry, go back and ask me a question again, because
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I should get better
I was drawn
you,
into I was drawn into the passion.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. So we were just talking about like the handful of steps that people need to go through to succeed on video,
Oh
and
yeah.
you were
Oh, you
talking.
mentioned about pillars, and so what I was going to say, there might be, they might be really clear in your head already what those themes are. But again, if you're trying to think, right, I need to bring video into the mix, so I need to create a video to match each pillar. Yeah, that's going to overcomplicate things. So let's think like video one, like let's just snug it under one of those pillars, and just create videos under one of them, and it just makes it so much easier to get started, really. And yeah, looking at that key message that you can drive forward, that's the first step that I would take some time thinking about what that is.
I love that. Awesome. Okay, great.
Yeah. Ready for second?
Yes, hit it.
So thinking of your core message obviously is all about what you're saying. And then the second thing to think about, again, which comes from consuming so much information, is maybe having a bit of a signature style for how you do things. Because there's, again, like, millions of different ways that you can do video. There's certainly some key ones that you might see. And so it's about creating something that is something that you can, that's sustainable for you, but also actually it helps you to create this kind of style that you are going to get known for and recognized for. And I think going back to actually a misconception that people feel like they need to have this variety, and they need to, change location and be in different places all the time and say different things, because otherwise their audience is going to get bored. But if you're thinking from a viewer's perspective, they're connected with so many different people and interesting people, like you talked about, that have all different things to share. Actually, it's almost like comforting to see the same person in the same place and have like that recognizable style that's yours, that goes with both your message and your vibe and like your personal style, as well as like your branding and your business. So to spend some time thinking about what that looks like for you. So I can give some examples if
Yes, yes, yes. Fantastic. Yes.
So for instance, if you were in like the health and well-being space, and you talk a lot about, getting outside and going for walks and getting fresh air and, being healthy, then it would suit your mission and your values to actually create content while you're outside, while you're walking about, because then it would kind of align what people are seeing with also what they're saying. So if that also suits you and you're quite good at being in flow, and it means that you're not thinking about position of everything, and you are doing that, like the camera, like talking to someone on the phone, like a bit of an extension of that, then create content that way, because then you'll get this really nice, like that association that people have between you and your brand and your message. For me, I've done some videos like that, but I feel like they're not really necessarily aligning with like what my brand is. And so I do still trial different stuff. I can't actually say that I do have a signature style, but it's maybe less identifiable than other people's, because I'm also experimenting a lot because of my work and helping people with their videos. I need to add a bit more experiment. So I'm kind of like telling you to do something that I don't necessarily do a lot myself, but certainly like this setup that I have in my office, when I'm on sales calls or doing training and this kind of thing, people can see it. But also I do create a lot of content in this room. So and this unit particularly stands out as something that's like quite me, because I used it in a video, I think one that you've like seen recently, like a humor video that I did where I had like an adult toy that I pretended was that I didn't know was there, and it was a jokey thing. But whenever people see this like pink unit, they're like, I have seen that before. I recognize it from the videos. So I don't know whether that's been a good thing or a bad thing for my brand. It's definitely like helped with like reach and engagement. But And
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that video too in a second. We're gonna go into that. But yes, keep going. So
yeah,
the having the environment be like familiar and aligned with your brand is
yes,
important.
absolutely. And like I said, it means that it's nice to have that comfort and that familiarity from a viewer's perspective as well, that like, and that's where they see you and that's where they know you, that there's yeah, that there's a British like TV program, but I don't know if you'll ever seen it unless there's an American version called Gogglebox.
Oh yeah,
And
I've heard of it.
I haven't watched much of it at all, but I know the premise of it, and it's people like watching television, and it's their reactions to watching television that are filmed, basically. But it's all people in their like home environments, you know, their setups in their lounges, their living rooms, watching TV. So like every time it would cut to you know those people's reactions, like there'd just be that instant like, oh yeah, it's this family, and there'll be certain characters that people will probably love and certain ones that they'll hate, and that's I suppose what you're trying to do as well, just create that familiarity, create that sense of this is you and this is your brand and this is what you stand for. So taking a bit of time to decide what that is, both kind of like stylistically and also maybe how you format your videos. So yeah, if you're outside and you're walking, you're not going to be like speaking directly to camera, like delivering a script, because it doesn't quite go. It would be probably more in the flow, in that case, quite conversational. If you're in, you know, a static setup like I am, like a lot of my content I've created that I've scripted out, and I mean, like it's not formal. It's definitely like I'm definitely don't have an informal style, but it might be that I've actually set up and planned it, and it's got a bit of that vibe of like something quite like catchy and something quite quirky. So yeah, so it's finding what is gonna fit for you, basically, in terms of the brand and the core message and how you put it together.
I love that. I love that, and I want to underline something there because it is an interesting part of your brand, because so many of your videos are they're hilarious, and they're you can tell they're scripted. You're trying to tell a story, and we'll talk about the vibe video in a second. But you're definitely like telling a story, you're making a point, you know, but the vibe, the feel of it is very casual and very, you know what I mean? And so I think that's an important distinction too. Like, you know, you can still put the effort and storytelling and planning into the video, but still have your approach be very casual and like very, it's just all about, like, you really have freedom to create whatever you want to create in whatever way it works best for you. So I just think that's awesome. I love that. I just wanted to underline that point.
Yeah, perfect. So shall I go on to the next stage?
Yes, but
Go on.
I'm like, should we talk about the vibe video first, or should we finish the step?
It's up to you. I'm sure we'll find another segue to it, so I can
Okay. Okay, keep going. We'll deliver the value, and then we'll get into the funny story because it's just so good. So okay, so keep going. Next step.
So once you've got an idea of what that like looks like for you, then the next thing to do would be to actually review what are you currently, what are you currently doing, and does it align with that, and how can you tweak it? So for example, that's going on LinkedIn, maybe going from the perspective of you're visiting, like someone else's page. Like, what could someone find out about you from clicking on your LinkedIn profile? Because everybody's nosy. They like to have a good like look around. And what can they see that there is, as well as the video feed that we've spoken about. So you have the regular news feed that's got all your the content, the posts that your connections put out, as well as sometimes other connections. If it's someone that the algorithm thinks that you really like, then you tend to see stuff that they like as well as their actual content. And then you've got the video feed. So this is going to bring you just like videos from your connections, and also your wider like network, or people that you don't know at all. But actually looking at your profile, if someone was to land on it, you can look at you can look at their activity, you can look at their recent posts, and there is like a tab that's video. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. It's just where you described it. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can look at their like photos, you can look at their videos. So when you put video into a post, it will go into this kind of video section. So if someone's thinking, I want to find out more about this person and see what they've got going on, and they might click on that tab and have a look. So you're thinking of the perspective if someone lands on that and they start having a flick through the videos, then what are they finding out about you based on what they can see there and then? So you're actually doing a review in as much of an objective way as you can of what's currently on your profile if people came onto it, or what content are you currently producing, and does it align with what you've decided is your core message and what you've decided your signature style is going to be, and is it conveying what you want it to convey, and how can you maybe adapt it to convey that a little more?
Awesome. Okay, cool. And so in terms of message, can you talk a little bit more about like what would define like if I didn't know what my message was, and I probably don't, how would you help someone discover their message or figure out what their message is or should be?
Yeah, so for instance, I mean, I can give the example of mine and maybe like a client if it's relevant. But I have a background in video production, so I've like built up these kind of skills. And to be honest, like a lot of them aren't needed for the work that I do now. Um, and how I help people, like to the level of detail that I know, like editing and things, that's not something that I would teach a client. But I have got a program almost that I follow, like I'm talking about now, the key message, the signature style, and the different a framework that you can go through to build up the strategy and the skills and the confidence needed to create your video presence and do it in an effective and a aligned way that's going to help you, grow your audience and help more people. But if I was to think about all those different bits, like how to script a video and how to record it and how to be a good presenter, as well as all the strategy that I've talked about, and there's more to it as well. If I was trying to put that all together in like my video content, there would be too much, right? And it would be difficult for me, and it would be difficult for someone I work with. So I've thought about what is that first stage that people need to take, or the first things that they need to think about to then like go on this journey. So a lot of the content that I create, not just videos, but content overall, is going to deal with that first side. And it's a few mindset shifts. It's the things we spoke about at the beginning, like a bit of like misconceptions. It's building that confidence a bit to get started, or at least give it a go. It's being a bit like quite trying to be like motivational and inspiring, and starting there, because once someone's feeling a bit more inspired and they're feeling a bit more motivated, they'll be ready to take that rest of that journey. So what I'm trying to do in my content is just fix that first step for people and get people onto the journey. So my core message is the things that I've said about, don't stop overthinking it, stop thinking that there's a right way of doing it, stop thinking that you need a fancy setup. You don't need all of that stuff. Maybe yes, you want to think about your core message and your signature style, and it's just that first bit that I'm pushing out in my videos, just the confidence and the motivation, trying to make people laugh, trying to get them engaged, and trying to inspire them to create videos. So you might have the same thing where you're looking through like all of your services and all of your offer, but what is that one thing that people need to know in order for them to take action on that? So what's that first problem that you could address in your content, and make all of your content about that until you run out of ideas, or just stick with it for 6 months or 12 months. So I find that that's one way that you can do it. So you're looking at what is it that you offer, what is that first little problem that you solve or thing that you need to get people over, and let's make content about that. And then as an overall, you know, I've just been working with a client, and in all her content, she talks about how to make work better, one brave conversation at a time. So that's actually already her tagline. So all the content that we create together is kind of around this idea of brave conversations, what they are, what they look like, you know, what goes into that, what the output of that is, you know, all the results that can come from having these brave conversations. So all these different angles to around the same idea that she's already established in her business. So is that helpful?
Yes, that's very cool. And I think that's a great example because that's very brave conversations for the purpose of making your life easier at work. That's very specific. That's pretty niche down, but I can see how there's so many possibilities for content. Like you said, that you can do how to do it, you can do why to do it, you can do the stumbling blocks to doing it. Like there's so many things that could create content from that. So I love that. That's brilliant. And I also love the idea of like focusing on that initial problem that you want to get, or the initial hurdle maybe that you want to get clients over, or the initial problem that you want to kind of solve for clients. Like what's something they need in order to be ready to take action, and focusing on that as like your starting pillar. And like you said, just go nuts. Don't feel like you've got to address all these different things. Just focus on that one thing and just do it for 6 months until you've exhausted all the facets of it and everything, you know? So that's very, very, very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, hi, sweetheart. Hiya. I'm just making it a video. She always comes in and says hi to me after school. You had a good day? Yeah. Yeah, we'll carry on with the pumpkin later. Okay. All right. I'll be down in 15 minutes to play. Okay.
Awesome. I love it.
Do you feel like you've got one of those for yourself? Has that like helped you?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think a lot of, I think for me, the biggest hurdle that like I'm always getting over with my website design clients is it's always clarifying, well, helping them clarify their message, you know, because even people who have been doing their work a really long time, sometimes they're not super clear on their niche, or they're not super clear on what sets them apart, you know, or maybe they're clear in their mind, but they don't quite yet have the language for it. And so that's part of what we'll do in our work together is figure out, okay, you haven't been articulating this as well as you could. Let's look through your content or testimonials or whatever, and let's come up with how we can articulate this on your new site so that it drives more traffic or converts more traffic, or, you know, whatever. And so, yeah, I think creating content that helps my clients do that, I think that's like a great place to start. I could talk about that for a year with no problem.
Yeah. Oh, we've had a comment from Walter Brown about the length of video. Is there a length that's too short, especially when just starting, or a length that's too long? So shall I answer that one?
Yes, please jump in.
So I think people really appreciate short content, to be honest. When I first started to really try and get visible with my videos, I set myself a challenge of doing 100 videos in a row. So like one every single day. I didn't miss a day, weekends or anything like that. And so because I was like batch creating these videos basically so that they were, you know, easier to do. And I scripted them out, and they were all quite short. So, and a lot of people were like, oh, I really appreciate how you say something like give value in, you know, like 20, some of them were 20 seconds, 25 seconds, which doesn't sound like a lot, but you can say quite a lot with video in that time. And that really helped me to build an engaged audience, because I'm not asking for much from someone. I'm saying, right, you watch this for 20 seconds and I'll tell you something by the end of it. You know, you're not asking too much from someone's time. If you know, create a video that's 5 minutes, you are asking more time from somebody. So that's going to happen from people that are already more engaged with you. So I would say definitely like start short when you're starting with videos. Or I wouldn't even say starting with videos, maybe because someone that's already built an audience based off not doing video content, which is perfectly possible as well. Like they might already have an engaged audience and they can start creating videos, you know, that are 20 minutes long and people are going to watch every second of them because they want to hear from them. But basically you correlate maybe the length of your video to how engaged your audience is. But it's still good to mix it up because you're usually trying to reach new people at the same time as talking to existing people. So see if you can start with something short, and if you're finding that hard to get to, then script it out, make a plan for it. There's everybody has different speaking paces, and I know that mine is quite fast. So apologize if I'm speaking too fast for people. And I know this because I have like measured it. If you're on Zoom and you record one of your Zoom meetings and it gets backed up to the cloud, it gives you a bit of a report of your performance. And so it will tell you things like how quickly you're speaking and if you're using a lot of filler words and how much there's been of you listening time, you know, like that you're not dominating too much of a conversation. It will give you a little performance. So yeah, my main things that I've had to work on are slowing down my speech and also removing filler words. And yeah, that's something that's a work in progress. And when I'm really conscious of it, I slow down. But my normal talking pace is pretty fast. But in general, there's 3 words. 3 words per second is a typical speaking pace. So again, going back to that, it's like okay to script something if you want to, and if you've written it up, obviously you can check the word count, and that will tell you about how long that would take to deliver it. So a 20 to 30-second video, you know, is going to be 60 to 90 words. So you can, you know, that's enough words to say something, right? That's valuable for people.
Yes, absolutely. I didn't know that about 3 words a second, that's like sort of the average pace. That's interesting.
Yeah.
How funny. Okay, so fantastic question. Thank you so much, Walt, for asking that. So, okay, so next thing, did you have more steps? Were there more steps people should keep in mind?
So we got to the 3rd one. The 4th one that I would say is just it's a production plan. It's putting those logistics in place to make it possible to actually get video out, like get videos out. So if you've not created content before, or you're still new to it, you might not have really like thought about each of what those stages are from your like planning and then recording and then editing and any like finalizing that you're going to do before you share it. So actually just mapping out what that's going to look like. If you have, you know, a team or people that help you, maybe you've got like VA support, you might have some parts of that taken care, you know, like the editing, like adding captions. It's quite a quick task, but it's also something that's quite easy to outsource to somebody, to an editor or something. So just mapping out that process and all the logistics, as well as things like timings. I'm a bit like loosey-goosey with my organization, but some people really like that structure and they want to say, right, my plan is to make, you know, to start off making 1 video a week. Okay, so to make 1 video a week, I'm going to create 4 a month, and I'm going to do those in, you know, sections, or like batches. I'm going to have like 1 afternoon or morning that's committed to creating 4 pieces of content, and I'm going to do that on, you know, a Friday afternoon, where another Friday I might write an email, but this time I'm going to do the videos, you know, and actually map out the logistics that are going to make it possible for you to create videos. Because I think there's a bit of an assumption that people that like to create videos, like jumping out of bed in the morning, like, yes, I'm going to create videos today. And that isn't the case. Like, I, you know, have to also talk myself into it. I don't like jump out of bed, like ready to make videos. You know, I still have that same feeling as well. Oh yeah, and yeah, I said I'm going to do these, I'm going to do, like, that doesn't like go. So if you're expecting to just suddenly decide that you want to create all these videos, that's unlikely to happen. It's more likely that you're going to just create those structures and those processes to make it easy to do. And for some people, they're really good with boundaries. So, they can put it in their diary, and then that means that it's going to get done. So that's the fourth part, is just putting that bit of a production plan together, mapping out those processes, that workflow, what you want to actually achieve. So all the logistics are there, the core message is there, the signature style is there. You've looked at what you're currently doing, and you trying to be as objective as possible, looking at that and how you can improve it. And then you've put the plan that you're going to do it. So now you've got like no excuses left, and it is just you can start making then.
That's awesome. Okay, it's really good to hear that you still have some of the dread too about making videos, because you're like the video queen. Your videos are amazing, and you're always so enthusiastic and happy and engaging in your videos. So it's really comforting to hear that you also have some of the the dread, the chore mentality around making videos.
I'm the same, a lot of it is people have insecurities, and I don't know if we were going to move on to that, but the thing that blocks people about maybe the way that they sound, or the way, the not being confident in how they look, or how the camera adds 12 pounds or whatever the saying is, that you just don't get that, you don't get enjoyment from watching yourself back or anything like that. So that's another thing that blocks people a little bit. And I'll say that before we were recording this, because I'm on my like second hair day, so the first day is like my hair is nice and I've like washed it, and it's like sometimes a bit styled and wavy, and the second day is like this, like I've put some like this in it to but anyway, like the point is that I could be like, oh, I'm gonna change my whole process to fit the fact that I'm gonna go on a live today with Diane, but I don't do that. I'm like, I'm gonna fit video around like my existing processes and not worry too much about exactly how I look or how I'm presented, like to the point where it's going to stop me from doing anything, or it's going to change anything. Obviously it's fine to put on a bit of makeup or do your hair, like whatever is going to make you feel comfortable, but not that it becomes so much that it's the barrier for you.
I love that. Yeah, that's such a good point, because there's a really good balance there. What you were saying in the fourth step of like planning for the logistics, it's like set time aside, have a plan for what you're going to do, make time for it, like plan it into your day, into your week. Like that's really important. And then also as a part of that, make sure that it's not taking over, it's not disrupting, it's not, make sure that it's, that it fits into your life. And I love that. I just think that's so important too. So really, really good point. Awesome. Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay, so we've got 5 minutes left. So I want to hear a little bit about what you offer and what your
we didn't do the story.
I know. I'm like, but we have to do that. We have to talk about the story, because I want to hear a little bit of like how you got started doing this, and then I want to hear a little bit about the vibe video, because of course your tagline is like getting your vibe on with video, and like the source of that is hilarious. And I will link to this video down in the description. But yeah, so tell the story.
Okay, so when I was trying to find my feet on LinkedIn again, I'd been on LinkedIn for a long time. I knew the benefits of it. I liked using it, but I wasn't really showing up consistently or really doing anything to get in people's minds or find clients or grow my audience or network or anything like that. So I started doing more of it about 18 months ago. And I think it was, I was like a few months in, I was already connected to someone called Leah Turner, that's like a well-known LinkedIn trainer, and she now has a business community. And she had put up a post about how if you use the word dildo in your LinkedIn post, like it will be flagged, because they're the strict. It's not like Instagram and TikTok where you can get away with all sorts. Like LinkedIn don't like you to say certain things. It's just like, because if you get flagged, then you can you know, get your account restricted and things like this. So it was like, don't use the word dildo. And then I was already helping you know, business owners with videos, and so I commented saying, okay, well, what about if you put it in a video? Like, will they know? Will it get flagged? And she was like, I don't know, but you can find out.
Yeah,
And I was
so
like,
in not saying the word, but like just having it in the video.
yeah. Um, so she was like, you first. And I was like, oh, what have I said? Like, how am I going to weave this into what I do in a way that doesn't like make people think that like I'm crazy? So I did this like video, like a jokey video where I pretend that I'm on a call with or the a Zoom notice has popped up. Anyway, well, I don't need to explain the whole video because you can go and watch it. But basically, I lean over and then it's just there's just like a giant pink one there. And I pretend that I like don't know that it's there in the video. And I posted that video out, and yeah, I was like building my engagement, my audience at the time. I'd already done kind of like some funny videos, but that one was like really popular because people just enjoyed it. You know, like there's a lot of people had the concept that LinkedIn is like very serious and it's all, you know, yeah, it's professional, or it's about your profession and your professional skills. Like, but there's no reason that, you know, we're all humans at the end of the day. And one thing that connects everyone is humor, right? So that video was going really well, and there was other stuff that I was doing at the time which just led to like my best ever financial month as well, because I was getting so much extra like views and reach to my profile off the back of the videos, that video and the videos that I was doing past that. And I was like, wait a minute, I can do this. Not only did I not get flagged and like knocked off LinkedIn, but actually people liked it. It helped build my audience and it helped grow my business. So, you know, like you can't complain about that. So what that gave me the idea of, yeah, getting your vibe on video and basically not taking it too seriously. Like, I'm not saying that everyone has to be a comedian, you don't, but about leaning into your natural strengths or your natural personality or what you're trying to, you know, project, any of that. But it's okay to be informal with it. It's okay to have fun and play with it. And it is just about like, you need to be able to enjoy it as well, and not just like, yeah, to feel like it's something very serious. It should be something that's fun. And just the word vibe, I love the word vibe because I feel like that's what you're getting across in the videos. Like, you can paint a picture with, you know, words, and you can express your personality in words, of course you can, but you're not going to get that same like multi-angle like look of someone's full personality until you see their face, until you hear their voice. So that's where the vibe stemmed from, and the kind of like the beginning of my like LinkedIn growth almost as well from that.
Oh, I'm sure. I bet. Yeah, it's an amazing video. It's super fun, and I think it's such a good point that LinkedIn isn't all that serious. It is about people's professions, and it is a place for you to talk about what you do, but it doesn't have to be sterile and gray background and like, you know, generic and super serious. Like, it can be fun. I have found that too. LinkedIn is very warm and it's very fun. And I mean, it's just a bunch of humans on there, and we're just, you know, trying to all connect and share about what we do. So I just love that story. I will link to it in the description. It's a hilarious post. Definitely underlines a fear that we all have, that there will be that surprise Zoom meeting and you don't know what your hair is doing or what's going on in the background or who knows what. So it's just super, super great about all of our humanness. So Laura, this was amazing. Thank you so much for being here with me today. You provided so much value. I think there's so many good tips in here. And talk a little bit, just to Scotia, about what you do and like where people can find you.
Yeah, so I'm mainly present on LinkedIn. You can find me Laura Jane Stack. My name is Laura, but I use my middle name as well. Just like has a better flow to it. So I help business owners and founders who know that they want to help more people, grow their audience, to build unshakable camera confidence, get their vibe on video. And I work with clients one-to-one. I take them through some of the stages that I've spoken about, where we're kind of building up those strategic kind of foundational elements, as well as the skills needed to create video content. And that is for not just like short form video, but the scope of video as well. Like, I don't want to just like tick one little box. I want it to cover like your usage of video in your business in general. So we can do that on a one-to-one basis. And I'm also launching a membership where you can kind of do a bit more of a DIY version of that. But the main kind of the crux of the membership is about action taking. So it is possible to do all this stuff or have some ideas about like what you want to do, but actually you still don't take it because you need that kick up the bum and accountability to do that. So it's about putting that space for you to create videos and the action taking element as well. So that's called the Vibe membership.
Of course it is. Awesome. Love it. Love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. That was great. Sounds like a fantastic opportunity. Thank you so much for being here and sharing all this awesome stuff with us. This was super fun. And yeah, if you guys need more from her, look her up, laurajanestack.com. And thanks everyone so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for your comment, Walter. It was really nice to have you in the chat. Yeah, thanks, Diane, for giving me the space and the push to do the lives.
Awesome. Awesome.